In today's video, we are going to talk about the most underrated hair growth vitamin that even I didn't know about it. I just found out about it by accident because I knew I was deficient in it and I was like, let's just try it. Oh my God, you absolutely need this. Let's get into it. Okay, so the vitamin I am talking about is vitamin D3 or vitamin D3, however you say it. This is actually not classified as a vitamin according to scientists. It's actually supposed to be classified as a hormone, but as it's sold, it's called vitamin D, so that's what I'm going to call it. And if you don't know me, my name is Angelica, and I post videos twice a week, every single week, about growing long, healthy hair. This is what my hair looks like. Consider subscribing. The subscription button is right down there, as well as the bell. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every single time I post. Let's get into the first reason why you need vitamin D3 in your diet. Vitamin D is actually a necessity for our bodies in general, whether it had nothing to do with hair. We need vitamin D. All people and animals need it. And the easiest way to just see how important it is if you have an animal, a dog, a cat, even if it's cold and there's just like a little slice of sunlight coming through the window, the animals are gonna run there and like lie down to like absorb the sunlight, and it looks like they're recharging. It's because they naturally know that they need it. And of course, depending on where you live, depending on the kind of food you eat, there is a very, very high chance that you could be lacking. So a lot of us will either work inside, whether it's working from home like me, if you work in an office, if you have a corporate job, if you don't work out often, there's a very high chance that you're not getting much sun exposure, okay? And vitamin D actually helps you sleep as well, because being exposed to sunlight in the morning will also help your circadian rhythm, to help you sleep better, to know when to wake up, to get a good amount of time of sleep so that your organs can all repair themselves properly. So if you're not going outside, you might need to supplement vitamin D or find a way to get a little bit more exposure, as well as include it into your diet. So now, specifically for hair loss, research has shown that vitamin D can actually truly help reduce hair loss that is caused by stress or any kind of stressful situation on your body, which means it doesn't have to be stress like, I've got so much work, I'm so stressed. It can just be another stressor on your body, like traction alopecia, like postpartum hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, female or male pattern balding. All that is considered natural stress on your hair. So surprisingly, vitamin D can actually truly help with that situation, to help slow down or reverse the situation going on, because it might actually not be what you think. You might be thinking that, oh, your hair is shedding because maybe you're getting a little older, or for whatever other reason, maybe you're feeling a little sick. And the reason might actually be that you're lacking in vitamin D3. This one was actually quite shocking for me, and this is that lack of vitamin D can reduce the efficacy of whatever other hair growth treatments you are using. For example, if you are taking minoxidil, Rogaine, which is basically the same thing, if you are taking any DHT blockers, anything like that, something that a dermatologist or a trichologist has prescribed to help you slow down like excessive shedding or balding, or even postpartum shedding, if you're taking any medication to kind of help with your hair loss, if you are lacking in vitamin D, you might not even see the benefits from those products because you don't have enough vitamin D. But if you have vitamin D, the other products that you're using will work even better. It's kind of similar to vitamin C. If you take vitamin C with iron, the iron is going to absorb much easier if you take it in combination with vitamin C, just because of how they work together. It is kind of the same thing with vitamin D and whatever hair growth supplements you're taking. So if you have a trichologist or a dermatologist, or you've ever gone for a consultation with one of them and they get some blood work, most of the times they're actually going to check you for vitamin D3 deficiency first. And this is if you're suffering from male pattern balding, female pattern balding, or telogen effluvium, which is basically that your hair goes out of the anagen phase too quickly, which is the hair growth phase, and then it results in excessive shedding, because every single one of our hairs on our head is at a different stage. If we went through every stage at once, what would be happening is our hair would be growing maybe like 5-6 inches, and then it would shed, we'd lose all our hair, and then, or let's say it would grow and then it would stop growing, it would just be stagnant. and it would be on our head for a couple months, and then it would all shed, we would be bald, and then we would start the whole process again. But genetics doesn't work like that. Our bodies are smart the way we were made. Our hair is all in different phases, and that's why we shed about 50 to 100 hairs on average every single day. Now, if you are extremely stressed or you're lacking in vitamin D or something like that, it might just force too much of your hair to go in the telogen phase, and a lot of your hair is going to start shedding unnecessarily because basically your hormones are confused. So the other reason why the dermatologists or trichologists are going to check for this is because vitamin D3 actually helps, I don't know whether the word is metabolize or to absorb and create keratin from the vitamin D adequately. So if you don't have enough vitamin D, then your keratin can't be used to create hair, skin, nails adequately. And so you don't have enough of it. There you have. Thus, you have thinner hair, excessive shedding, brittle hair, breaking, because our hair is mostly protein in the form of keratin. And so we need to put protein in it to make it strong. And if you don't have anything to help build that protein up into the keratin, then we have a problem. So here's another thing to note. A lot of people have experienced hair shedding, excessive shedding after COVID. It happened to a friend of mine. I did experience a little bit of excessive shedding more than usual, but I'm not sure if it's because of COVID, because I am pretty sure I had COVID twice, although I tested negative. I had every single one of the symptoms, including no taste, no smell. And so I did experience a little bit of it, but it wasn't even like on my head. It was like my eyebrow. I had like a hole in my eyebrow. On this side, I think there was like a big patch here, and in the front there was like a whole circle of eyebrow hairs missing. I don't know whether it was just regular stress or it was due to after COVID. Now, COVID hasn't been around for long enough for people to do studies to say for sure that the hair loss was caused by COVID, because it could have been caused by something else that was just a symptom or because of COVID. But another theory that I have is that most people have to quarantine and you have to stay inside the house for like 2 weeks to a month. And so you have zero access to sunlight and vitamin D. And if you don't have vitamin D in your diet already, that can also contribute to your hair shedding, adding to the fact that your body is fighting off a disease that your hair has nothing to do with. So your hair is obviously a little neglected, and it just adds to a combination of things that could lead to your hair shedding. Okay, so next, if I have convinced you or you're thinking, you know what? You're right. I'm experiencing some of those symptoms. My hair has been stagnant. It hasn't been growing. I really need something to boost my hair growth. I'm going out to get me some vitamin D right now. Hold up. You might not be deficient in vitamin D. Focus on improving your diet and your hydration. If your diet is terrible, you eat only processed foods and you barely drink any water, that might be the reason, okay? It might not be the vitamin D. And if you're taking vitamin D and you're eating like crap, and you're not drinking enough water, even the vitamin D is not going to work as efficiently, okay? So look into your diet and your hydration. I always say that this is more important than any supplement, because I go on walks a lot and I eat pretty healthy and I'm constantly trying to improve my diet. At a certain point, I'm only going to have to take these vitamin D supplements maybe once to twice a week when I don't go outside, because it's actually unhealthy to have it in excess. You don't need to go outside and buy like the highest dose of vitamin D. Most of the trichologists and dermatologists that I've seen in my research recommended that you should take around 10,000 international units or 10,000 IU of vitamin D for it to be effective. And they suggest you take it anywhere from like 8 weeks to 6 months, depending on how deficient you are and all that stuff. So if you're not sure or you're taking any other medication, you might want to consult a medical professional. So similar to the last point where I was talking about look into your food, you also first need to find out what the problem is. I always say this. Some people will ask me and say, oh, my hair has been breaking so fast lately. Will this oil help me grow my hair fast? Or, oh, my hair has been shedding so much. I've got bald spots. Is this oil going to help me? Is this treatment going to help me? Is this diet going to help me? The thing is, you need to discover what the diagnosis is first, or else nothing you do is actually going to help it. So if you just assume that you're deficient in vitamin D, but the problem is actually that you have traction alopecia because you get tiny braids and you braid them too tight, the vitamin D is not going to help you because that's not your problem. If you're experiencing female or male pattern balding because it's just genetics and people at your age in your family tend to start going bald at that age, you might want to visit a dermatologist to see if that can help. And maybe they might find that among other things, you actually do need vitamin D as well. I actually saw a study by a doctor. He actually has a YouTube channel. His name has completely gone out of my head right now. But he did a study on a man who was experiencing early male pattern balding, but then when he looked at the pattern on his head, it wasn't in the structure of what normal male pattern balding is like, which is usually like around the crown of your head or where your hair starts growing in that swirl. That's kind of where you start losing hair. But this guy was losing hair like evenly all over his head, like at the back of his head, in the front of his head, in the middle, and he thought that that didn't look normal. And then he checked his vitamin D levels, and it's supposed to be like on average 30 to 100 or something in our blood, and this guy's level was like 8, and it was like the lowest he had ever seen before. And the guy had pretty short hair, and so he put him on vitamin D, and the guy in 8 weeks he had a full head of hair. Now it wasn't like grown out super fast, of course, but if your hair is super short, you can see the growth much quicker. And he basically had a 50% increase of his hair growth just by improving his vitamin D. So it really is that important if you are deficient. So that's why diagnosis is important. Know what's wrong first before you try and look for something to correct it. If you don't know what you're correcting, you don't know how to fix it. So vitamin D has actually helped me truly grow my hair. I have been taking it for about 2 months now, and I have seen a significant change. My hair is at least 2 inches longer in about 2 months, 2 to 3 inches longer in about 2 months. And on average, my hair grows about half of an inch a month or even less sometimes. Now, okay, if you've decided you are deficient and you want to know specifically what I was taking, I left this for the last because the brand is absolutely not important. Of course, I will link the exact one I used. I got it from Amazon, and it is the brand Puritan's Pride Sunvite Mega Potency Vitamin D3 250 micrograms, which is 10,000 international units. Soft gels, that's what they look like. So it's basically like oil kind of on the inside. And there are many types of vitamin D. There are those drops that you can just drop under your tongue and leave them, which are also fast absorbing, of course. These have been working amazing for me. This was very cheap. I can't remember how much it was, but it will be linked in the description box below. It was probably $5 or less for 100 soft release gels, and you only need one a day, and I won't be taking them every day. I'm giving myself about 2 more weeks, then I'll be taking them maybe 2 to 3 times a week. So I left this for last again because the brand is not important. Or if you want me to talk about anything else, let me know as well. To see a combination of the other vitamins I've been taking, you can check out my video right here, and you can check a video under here as well for something that is specifically just for you. Hit my face right there to subscribe if you did in the beginning. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!